Have you ever tried any of the following tricks to cut down or control your drinking? Waiting until a certain time before you open that first bottle, or only buying the alcohol that you plan to drink that evening, or buying wine in those really small bottles, or perhaps you've tried alternating every other drink with water, or limiting the amount of money that you take out with you. Perhaps you've even bought alcohol you don't really like the taste of, or you've been adding lots of ice to your drinks, or maybe only drinking on certain days of the week, or buying low alcohol versions of your favourite drinks. Now here's what I'm going to guess. I suspect that most of those tricks don't work for you. Perhaps some of them work initially. Maybe you've had a few quick wins, worked once or twice, but then when you tried them again, they weren't as effective. And then you just decided to give up on them completely or blame yourself. I know it can make you feel like a failure when you try these tips for cutting down and they don't work. Because actually, if you Google how to cut down on your drinking, you will come across these exact same few tips again and again and again, as if it's gospel, or as if it's proven that they definitely work. But that isn't the case at all. There's no science behind those ideas. The problem is just that there's a limit to the number of ways that you can control the use of an addictive drug. That's why you see those same few tips repeated over and over and over again. Actually, some of the ideas that I mentioned at the start of this video, I actually got them from the NHS website under their section about cutting down on alcohol. So it actually says on the NHS website, why not only take a fixed amount of money with you to spend on alcohol? Which kind of made me laugh because, hello, it's 2023. How many of us actually withdraw cash on a night out? Personally, I pay for almost everything using contactless. We just manage our money differently these days. So these tips are getting more and more outdated. Anyway, if you've been thinking, what's wrong with me? These tips don't work. Yet every time I Google this topic, the same few things keep coming up, so maybe I should keep trying them. Well, then this video is for you. Because there is nothing wrong with you. But there is a lot wrong with these tips. In fact, there's a very big problem with these tips. And here's what it is. All of these so-called tips for cutting down, they do nothing to address your desire for alcohol. In fact, if anything, they increase your desire. Because right now, you think that drinking does certain things for you. You think it's enjoyable, or it helps you manage certain emotions, or maybe you feel alcohol provides a certain benefit or service. So you have a relationship with alcohol. And when you try and drink less and sort of squash your drinking using these tips, you're not changing any of that mindset. You're not doing any of the deeper work to understand why you really drink, change your thoughts. You're not being curious about your beliefs. You're not looking at whether alcohol actually really does the things that you think it does. All you're doing is taking away this thing that you actually like. So I was trying to think of a good analogy for this, and the best one I can come up with is that moderation is a bit like spraying air freshener into a room that's got mold growing on the walls. The air freshener will briefly disguise the smell, but that smell will always come back because you haven't addressed the root of the problem. And with these tips on cutting down, the focus is all on limiting the alcohol use, like managing the symptom, rather than looking at the root cause, which is your thinking. Truly, drinking problems are always thinking problems. And you think right now that you can't manage certain emotions sober. You think alcohol helps. You think drinking is best, and you think it's the easier option. One of the worst things about trying to cut down is that it actually makes alcohol even more attractive in your mind. Because your access to it is being limited, alcohol then takes on greater importance to you. And when you are determined to keep a little bit of booze in your life, somehow, rather than cutting it out completely and breaking free of it, well, what you are subconsciously telling yourself is that this drug is so special, so wonderful, so important, that you must try and keep a little bit of it in your life at all costs. And it will cost you a lot. Drinking will cost you. So when I coach women to take a break from drinking, the focus is completely different. So rather than talking alcohol up by romanticizing it and putting it up on this great big pedestal where we talk about how wonderful it is, or how you always want to have a bit more of it, and you're creating these rules and playing lots of games to somehow control alcohol that way, instead, we focus completely on changing your thinking so that alcohol seems much less appealing to you. And that, the thought work, that's how you get true freedom from alcohol. When booze just becomes really small and irrelevant and unimportant to you. You kind of don't care about it. That's true freedom. That's what we work on inside my Getting Unstuck course. And that's what I want for you. All right. Let me know in the comments if this resonates with you. There are a lot of crazy tips for moderation out there, and I'm curious to know which ones you've tried as well. And you take comfort from the fact that so many people have tried so many of these tips and they haven't worked. You can't all be wrong. The fact is that these tips don't work, and the secret to breaking free from alcohol is to manage your mind. Like I said, drinking problems are always thinking problems.